My ex-husband took everything in the divorce. The house, the savings, the car, everything. But here's what he didn't know. He didn't know about the account I had opened 3 years earlier, the one with $94,000 in it. That was sitting there, quietly, in my name alone, while his attorney was being very thorough. I sat in that courthouse parking lot for 22 minutes after it was finalized. Engine off. Then I drove to a coffee shop on South Lamar. Black coffee, corner table, logged in. $94,000, plus the settlement I had just negotiated, plus the job I had never stopped doing. I sat there for a while. Just sat. And I thought about my grandmother, who told me once, "Sara, always have your own number, no matter what." This is that story. And I'm going to tell you exactly how it happened, because I think you need to hear it. My name is Sara Whitfield, 37 years old, financial analyst, Austin, Texas. I drive a 2020 Ford Explorer I bought the week after the divorce was finalized. First thing I bought completely alone in 7 years. The salesman kept looking at me like I was going to cry. I wasn't. I had already done all of that. I grew up in San Antonio, middle of 4 kids. Dad was an electrician. Mom was a school nurse at the same elementary school I attended. She still sends me care packages with Advil and granola bars. She's not wrong to. Here's something you need to understand about me before I tell you any of this. I make spreadsheets for fun. Not for work, for fun. When Marcus and I were planning our honeymoon to Costa Rica, I built a spreadsheet with 17 tabs. Activities, restaurants, weather patterns by week, exchange rate projections. Marcus looked at it and said, "Sara, it's a vacation." I said, "I know, but look at tab 9. I found us $400 by shifting the dates 3 days." He booked tab 9. I tell you that because I need you to understand the kind of person I was when I married Marcus Whitfield. Organized, methodical, always paying attention, and completely, genuinely, blindsided anyway. That's the part nobody tells you about people like Marcus. They don't come for the unorganized ones. They come for the ones who trust. I met Marcus when I was 28, real estate developer, 32 years old. He walked into every room like he had already assessed the geometry of it. At 28, I found that magnetic. At 35, I understood it as something else entirely. We got married 9 months after we met. My mom said, "That's fast, Sara." I said, "When you know, you know." She said, "Just make sure you actually know." I thought I did. I really thought I did. That's the part that still gets me sometimes, at 11 p.m. when I can't sleep. I really thought I knew. Year 1 was fine, and I want to be really honest about that word, fine. Not great, not terrible, fine. The kind of fine that hums in the background and you tell yourself is just what marriage is. But here's where it started. Year 3, small things first. He'd correct me in front of people, not cruelly, casually. "That's not quite right, Sara." Actually, Sara means always in front of people, never when we were alone. I didn't realize it at the time. That was my first mistake. Year 4. "You're so busy," he said. "Let me handle our finances. You focus on work." I am a financial analyst. I manage other people's money for a living. And I said, "Okay, I'm not proud of that. But I want you to understand how reasonable each individual step sounded in isolation. How you can be a completely intelligent person, a person who builds 17-tab spreadsheets for fun, and still find yourself looking at a joint account you don't fully understand because you were tired and busy and you trusted someone." Year 5. He moved most of our savings into a joint account. I signed what he put in front of me. Year 6. I found the texts. Not a dramatic moment. His phone buzzed on the kitchen counter while he was in the shower. I looked. I wish I could say I hadn't. I looked. And there it was, 3 years of messages. A woman named Diane from his Dallas office. I set the phone back, exactly where it was, walked upstairs, sat on the edge of our bed, and I thought, very clearly, very calmly, what do I actually have that is mine? The answer came quickly, and it was almost nothing. But here's the thing. Here's the thing nobody knew except me. 3 years earlier, I had already started doing something about that. Before I keep going, I need to ask you something. In that moment, sitting on the edge of the bed, knowing what I knew, what would you have done? Drop a 1 if you'd confront him that night. Drop a 2 if you'd go quiet and start preparing. Because what I chose changed everything about how this ended. The preparation, 10 o'clock to 18 o'clock. I went quiet. Not because I was scared, because I had watched Marcus operate for 6 years. And I knew, when he was caught off guard, he was even better at getting what he wanted. So I didn't catch him off guard. I gave him nothing. Went to work the next morning, same routine. Made dinner, asked about his day, listened to his answer with a face that gave away absolutely nothing. And that evening, after he fell asleep, I sat at my desk in the spare bedroom, door closed, legal pad in front of me. And I wrote down everything I knew, every account, every asset, every document I had ever signed. 3 hours. When I was done, I looked at the list, and I understood exactly how exposed I was. That was my second mistake, signing things without reading them. I wasn't going to make a third one. The next morning, I called Margaret Osei, a divorce attorney in Austin, recommended to me 3 years earlier by a colleague who had simply said, "If you ever need her, she's the one." 3 years earlier, I had filed her number under M in my phone, never thinking I'd use it. Margaret picked up on the second ring. I told her in broad terms what I had found. She said, "Come in tomorrow. Bring everything you can access without him knowing. Don't move anything. Don't change anything. Don't let him know you know. Not yet." I did exactly what she told me. Now, I need to tell you about the account, because this is the part people always ask about. 3 years into the marriage, something had shifted in me. I can't point to a specific moment. It was more like a low-frequency hum in my chest, the kind you feel before you can hear it. Something that said, "Pay attention." So I had opened an account. Not to hide money. I want to be completely clear about that. At the time, we had nothing worth hiding. I opened it because I needed something that was mine. Just mine. $200 a month. From my personal income, above what went into joint accounts. Completely legal, fully documented. My CPA knew, not a secret, just mine. And I was investing it. Not aggressively, the way I invest for my clients, index funds, consistent contributions, diversified portfolio. Because I'm a financial analyst, and financial analysts know $200 a month invested consistently over 36 months is not nothing. Margaret looked at the account statement when I brought it in. She looked at me. "This was very smart," she said. "I didn't know I was doing it for this reason," I said. "I know," she said. "That's what makes it so interesting." She leaned back. "Marcus's attorney is going to be very surprised." "Good," I said, and I absolutely meant it. "Here's what I want to ask you. Do you think what I did, opening that account 3 years before any of this, was instinct or luck?" Drop a 1 for instinct. We know things before we know them. Drop a 2 for luck. Timing just worked out. Because I've thought about this more than I can tell you. And the answer changes what this whole story means. We filed 6 weeks later. Marcus was surprised. Good. His attorney was very thorough. Mine was Margaret Osei. 22 years of Texas divorce law. Mediation lasted 2 days. Day 1, Marcus got almost everything. The house, the savings, the car. His attorney was methodical and precise. But here's where it gets interesting. On the morning of day 2, Margaret slid one document across the table. And everything in that room changed. Full disclosure of Sarah's personal assets, Margaret said. Completely calm. The voice of someone who has done this 400 times and knows exactly what happens next. Marcus's attorney opened the document, read page 1, looked at Marcus, looked back, read it again. I watched his face do the math. Marcus leaned over. He read it, and his face did something I had never seen it do in 6 years. It went still, not angry, not shocked. Still, like a screen frozen mid-frame. $94,000. $94,000. Sitting in an account in my name alone for 3 years that he had never known about, had never asked about, had never thought to ask about because he had been managing our money and he had assumed, the way people like Marcus always assume, that if he wasn't looking at something, it didn't exist. Marcus's attorney cleared his throat. This account funded solely from your personal income? Yes. Before the joint filing? Yes. Completely legal? Completely. He closed the document. I looked at Marcus. For the first time in 6 years, he looked at me like he wasn't sure what I was going to do next. I had waited 6 years for that look. I didn't smile. I just held his gaze and waited. We'll need a short recess. Margaret looked at me. Something around her eyes did a thing I can only describe as satisfied. Of course. Take all the time you need. 43 minutes, I counted. I sat there with coffee I didn't drink, looking out the window at 6th Street, and I thought about my grandmother and her voice. Always have your own number, Sara, no matter what. When they came back, Marcus had a new proposal, a real one. I got the investment portfolio. I got a cash settlement. I got significantly more than I had expected when I walked in 2 days earlier. Marcus got the house. He wanted the house. Fine. I had planted the garden. He could have the house. I signed on Friday afternoon. Then I drove to South Lamar. Black coffee, corner table, laptop. $94,000. Plus the settlement. Plus the job I had never stopped doing. I called my mom. She picked up on the first ring. It's done. She didn't ask about the outcome. She said, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I actually think I am." She exhaled. The specific exhale of a mother who has been holding her breath for months. Your grandmother would be very proud of you. In that parking lot, I finally understood what Grandma actually meant. I moved out in November. 1-bedroom apartment, East 6th Street, 800 square feet, no garden, a balcony, 1 pot, 1 tomato plant. It died in January. I bought another in March. That one lived. I started over the way you start over at 37. Not dramatically, just practically. 1 day, 1 decision, 1 tomato plant. My friend Rachel came over the first weekend. Wine, Thai food from South Congress, the place we used to go when we were 25. We sat on the floor because I didn't have furniture yet. She looked around. "It's small," she said. "I know," I said. "I love it," she said. "Me too," I said, and I completely meant it. Marcus and I don't communicate. His attorney, my attorney. That's how it works. I heard through a mutual friend he sold the Terrytown house 8 months after. He and Diane moved to Dallas. I have no feelings about Diane. She didn't make Marcus who he was. He was already who he was when he met her. Last spring, I was looking for something in my new house, and I found them in the back of a closet. 2 composition notebooks, journals from year 3 of the marriage. I sat on the closet floor and I read them. And I found an entry. March, year 3, Something feels off. I can't name it. I don't want to name it. That I need to start paying attention. I need to make sure I have something that is mine. Just mine. 2 weeks after that entry, I had opened the account. I read it 3 times. Then I closed the notebook and sat there on the closet floor for about 10 minutes, thinking about that version of me, who didn't know what she knew, who just felt it and listened. "Good job," I said, out loud, to nobody, to her, to the version of me who paid attention. I had lunch with Margaret 6 months later, semi-retired now, still sharp. "You know what I remember about your case?" she said. "What?" "You came in with a list. Most people come in with emotions, completely understandable. You came in with a list. That told me everything I needed to know." I laughed. "I was a mess," I said. "You were organized," she said. "Same thing, different people." I bought my own house 14 months after the divorce. 3 bedrooms, back porch, small yard. I planted a garden, tomatoes, rosemary, 1 rose bush along the back fence the previous owners started. I decided to keep going. My mom came that first summer. Back porch, iced tea. She looked at the garden. "Your grandmother would love this." "I know," I said. We sat there, just the 2 of us. The garden, the Austin summer, the particular quiet of a life you built back from the beginning. It's louder now, in the best way. Different. Mine. I want to ask you something honest. People always ask me, "Do you regret marrying him?" Drop a 1 if you think I should regret it. Drop a 2 if you think even painful experiences bring you somewhere you needed to go, because my answer might actually surprise you. I don't regret it. I want to be honest about that. Not because it didn't hurt. It hurt enormously. Not because he didn't do damage. He did. But here's what I've come to understand. The people who underestimate us don't realize what they're actually doing. They think they're diminishing us. They're actually, very slowly, very thoroughly, building us. Not because pain is good, it isn't. But the person who survives it, if she does the work, comes out with a very specific kind of clarity. The clarity of someone who has already lost what she thought she needed and found out she didn't need it at all. I've thought a lot about that journal entry. March, year 3. Something feels off. I can't name it. I think about that version of me a lot. 29 years old, sitting at a kitchen table in a house that would eventually not be hers, writing in a composition notebook about a feeling she couldn't name yet. She didn't know what was coming. She didn't know about the texts. She didn't know about Diane. She didn't know about the mediation or Margaret or the 43-minute recess or the account that would eventually change everything. She just felt something. And she listened. And 2 weeks later, she opened the account. I don't know if that was wisdom. I don't know if that was instinct. Maybe it was just a woman paying attention in a world that was very quietly trying to teach her not to. My grandmother's $8,400, the money she left my mother, that my mother left a portion of to me, is sitting in an index fund. It has never been touched. It will go to whoever in my family needs to hear, in the form of a number, that someone paid attention for them before they knew they'd need it. That's what inheritance actually is, I've come to think. Not just money. The knowledge that someone before you was paying attention and left you something to stand on. Here's the truth. I did not plan this. I did not open that account because I had a strategy. I opened it because something in me said, pay attention. And I did. $200 a month, a grandmother's voice, a legal pad at midnight, a friend named Rachel who sat on my floor and loved the small apartment. Those things, not the account, are what got me through. The account was just a number. What built me back was everything else. So if you are somewhere right now in a life that feels solid but not quite secure, hear this. Solid is not the same as secure. Secure is something you build, quietly, consistently, for yourself, not because you expect something to go wrong, but because you matter. Your name on something matters. Your own number matters. Build it, whatever that looks like, whatever that means for your life. And if this story sat with you today, you already know what to do. Next story. A woman's father stood at the family reunion and announced he was leaving his entire estate, the business, the house, the accounts, to her brother, in front of everyone. She didn't argue. She didn't cry. She asked one question. "Dad, what's the name of your largest competitor?" He told her. She smiled, because that company was hers. I'll see you there.